There's one man who refuses to follow the script.
We have rules here, you know that. And if you don't follow the rules, then what are we?
One man stands tall in the face of adversity.
But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward.
A man who rises above the ashes of hot takes.
What do you care what they say?
Easy for you to say they all love you.
It's just noise, man. You're really good at it. You might be great.
That man is Nick Kostos. And this is You Better You Bet.
If loving sports is wrong, I don't want to be right.
Where narratives are challenged and the truth is spoken.
I told you what was going to happen last week. If you didn't listen, that's on you.
This isn't talk, it's perspective.
It's not what you look at that matters. It's what you see.
This is You Better You Bet, presented by BetMGM on Westwood One Sports.
What's up, everybody? Happy and merry, magnificent Sports Monday to you and yours. This is You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos on Westwood One Sports, as we bring you the fastest show in all of sports. The show presented today and always by BetMGM. Make it legendary by downloading the BetMGM app and visiting BetMGM.com. And on this Monday morning, the world of sports absolutely en fuego. And we are going to get to all the big stories, including the fallout from the weekend that was in the NBA playoffs. Are the Detroit Pistons going to yak this and lose to the Orlando Magic in round number 1? Is this a thing that's actually going to happen? Is Knicks Celtics in round 2 actually the Eastern Conference Final? And is LeBron James going to keep stiff-arming Father Time? A very, very consequential weekend in the NBA playoffs. We will break it down for you coming up as we move along. We will also talk the Stanley Cup playoffs. Oh, hell yeah. And I'm going to tell all of you what I think the most important result and important storyline that came out of this weekend in the NHL playoffs, and we're going to spin it forward. The most important story in the weekend that was in the NHL playoffs, I'll explain coming up in a little bit. And I will also tell everybody, and a lot of people are hating on me on social media, at the Kostos, TheKostos, for this take, why Roman Reigns versus CM Punk last night in the main event of WrestleMania is the best wrestling match to ever main event a WrestleMania. I can't wait to break it all down with all of you coming up later in the program. All our bets for tonight will close the show in the final hour, Power Hour. And this time of year, there's a lot of sports to talk about, a lot of games to handicap. And if you are a betting man, which I am, a lot of bets to be placed. NBA playoffs, hockey playoffs, Major League Baseball. We will give you all our bets to wrap up the show. The phone number, 310-840-4910, 310-840-4910. Shout out to everyone watching on YouTube, youtube.com/@thekostos. But we officially begin the magnificent Sports Monday edition of You Better You Bet by wishing you and yours a very happy and merry draft week in the National Football League. Oh my God, on this Monday morning, I'm texting some of my friends in the NFL world, in the NFL media this morning. There is so much NFL content. We had so much this weekend. Hell, so much on Monday morning, this morning, that's broken in the last few hours that I find fascinating. I've got a molten hot take on the Philadelphia Eagles that I will give you coming up in a little bit. We will talk about the latest on A.J. Brown. Looks like he's on his way to New England. I've only been saying that for, 2 months. And the Aaron Rodgers merry-go-round continues to spin. What a joke for the Pittsburgh Steelers. But we will start with the blockbuster trade in the NFL this past weekend, as my prayers are answered as a Giants fan. I said, like Samson says or Sir Smoke-A-Lot says in Half-Baked, God, if you're listening, help. God listened. God listened. The sports gods listened. The New York Football Giants trade and I will say it, I never said Dexter Lawrence was a bad player, and you know that. I've been consistent. Very good to great, but he needed to go. So we can call him star defensive tackle, Dexter Lawrence, to the Cincinnati Bengals for the 10th overall pick in Thursday night's NFL draft. And the Bengals then signed Lawrence to a 1-year, $28 million contract extension. Now, I do think for both teams, this is a win-win. I think both teams should like how this trade turned out, both the Giants and the Bengals. But we'll start from the Giants side of this here. I cannot believe that the Giants got the 10th overall pick in the draft for Dexter Lawrence. Cannot believe it. Like, the wizardry here, and I'm going to give John Harbaugh the majority of the credit. There are people that think, well, Joe Shane's the general manager, so actually he made this trade. Really? You think Joe Shane's got the juice in the building? And I don't even want to turn this into a Joe Shane bash fest. Like, he can get credit too. Everybody can get credit. I don't care. It's an awesome trade by John Harbaugh and the Giants to get the 10th overall pick for, a defensive tackle who's in his late 20s, who's coming off a down season, who wanted out. 10th overall pick. I mean, this is like you buy a car for $50,000, let's say, and this car wildly exceeds your expectations over the course of the number of years that you have it. And I don't know, like J.D. Power and Associates, Car and Driver, rank it one of the best cars out there on the market, and you bought it for $50,000. And after a number of years, the car starts giving you issues. It starts creaking a little bit when you turn the ignition. Starts giving you some problems. You got to take it in for repairs. You can tell it doesn't have the same juice that it used to have. And you feel like it might be time to move on. And you look to sell the car. You bought it for $50,000 and you sell it for $70,000. That's what the Giants just did with Dexter Lawrence. And it doesn't mean that the Bengals, that the person that are buying the car, that they're not going to be happy. They can be really happy. But the fact that the Giants got the 10th pick for this guy is unbelievable. It's unfathomable. I think I'm pretty plugged in with the NFL, and I know my stuff when it comes to professional football. I thought 25, Chicago, Buffalo at the end of round 1, Chargers in the 20s. I thought that was where this was headed here. 10th overall? I mean, God almighty. What a grand slam home run for the New York Football Giants. And my Giants now hold the 5th pick, the 10th pick, and the 37th pick in the NFL draft. 3 of the top 37 picks and 2 of the top 10. To add to what is, despite what anyone wants to say, a talent-deficient roster. Everyone that's just expecting, because John Harbaugh's here now they're just going to be awesome, fails to realize that they were one of the worst teams in football last year. Which doesn't mean that they can't be good this year, but I mean, just like they're going to roll out of bed and be awesome, they stink. They need to add young players to this roster. It is a talent-deficient roster. And now at 5-10, I mean, now you can really cook with some gas here if you were the Giants. Jordan Tyson, the Arizona State receiver, who I've been telling you guys for a long time here on the show, he's the best receiver in the draft. Just, can he stay healthy? The health concerns are valid with Jordan Tyson. Never finished a season for Arizona State. But man, he's a stud. Feels like he's going to go top 10. Could the Giants draft him at 5? Could they draft him at 10? They have the flexibility now to take Sonny Styles at 5 if he's there, and then come back and take a receiver at 10. Or maybe an offensive lineman at 10. If Maui Noah, the Miami tackle guard, is off the board, can you take Spencer Fano and play him at right guard this season? Can you really juice up the offense with take 5 a receiver and 10 an offensive lineman and then take defense at pick 37? I mean, this gives the Giants a ton of options to work with. The one thing I don't want, and you know that I've been saying this, Jeremiah Love would be an absolute disaster for the Giants. A disaster. But I have to acknowledge, if the Giants took, and I don't think he's going to be there, but if the Giants took Jeremiah Love at 5, I think you can sell it a little bit more now, given that they have a pick at 10 as well. I would still hate it, but it's not like you pick him at 5 and you don't pick again until the top of the second round. I think you can actually sell this a little bit more. I don't want it to happen, but it's not the disaster that it would have been a week ago. So this is just, I mean, you all know, listen, I'm a New York sports fan. I'm honest when I'm being a homer. I think I'm as critical of my teams as anyone in the media and the sports media is of the teams that they root for. If there's a reason to be negative, I'll be negative. You know that. But when something good happens, I'll also say it. The Giants crushed this. And if you're a Giants fan, you should be wildly excited. Maybe not for 2026. I think the division's too good. But 2027 and beyond, the Giants can cook a little bit. And as for the other team in this trade, the Cincinnati Bengals, I understand the school of thought that, and look, I even said it, right? That you're trading for a defensive tackle in his late 20s who's coming off a down year by his standards, and you had to shell out $28 million, and people can make their jokes, and look, they're fair, right? Why not just pay Trey Hendrickson? I get it. I don't necessarily feel the need at this point to relitigate that part of it. The way the Bengals handled the Trey Hendrickson situation, we've detailed it for years on this show. But the fact of the matter is, Cincinnati had to add an impact defender this offseason. Now, think back to a show open that I did. Had to have been like a month ago at this point, maybe more, right? When I said the two teams that I think need to strongly consider trading up into the top 10 of the draft, the Cincinnati Bengals and the Dallas Cowboys. And the reason that I gave was because you can easily construct a scenario where David Bailey, Arvell Reese, Sonny Styles, Caleb Downs, Ruben Bain, and Mansour Delane are all gone by picks 10 and 12. All gone. Now, Dallas has 12 and 20, right? And Dallas doesn't have a franchise quarterback that's going to seemingly hold the team hostage if things don't go well this year. The Bengals had to do something. So, do I think this is the greatest trade ever executed? I don't. I think the Giants definitely got the better of the deal. But I absolutely understand where the Cincinnati Bengals are coming from in making this trade. Because in all likelihood, the player that the Bengals would have drafted at 10 would not help them win in 2026 the way Dexter Lawrence could. I think that's pretty easy to understand. And maybe, just to say this, right, Jermod McCoy, the Tennessee corner, I didn't mention him in the list of players that could be gone. From what I understand, McCoy is a better prospect than Delane, but McCoy is coming off a torn ACL. So, if you're the Bengals, I don't think you can afford to roll the dice like that. Not this season. And I alluded to the reason why a couple minutes ago. Based on all the reporting and also common sense and logic, Joe Burrow's fed up. Joe Burrow is tired of losing, and you can accurately say, well, Burrow gets hurt. Okay, he's gotten hurt a couple times. That's true. Also, he is unquestionably and undeniably one of the best quarterbacks in football. Period. At the most important position. And has shown that he is good enough to, at the very least, get his team to within one play of winning the Super Bowl, which they did in the Super Bowl against the Rams that they lost at the very end on the great Aaron Donald play on 4th down. All the reporting indicates that this is a huge year for Joe Burrow in Cincinnati. Every time Joe Burrow has a microphone or a camera in front of him with people with ears that will listen, he is telling you without telling you that he's fed up and that he wants to win. So if, let's say, the Bengals draft Jermod McCoy, right? And he comes along a little slowly, and the defense stinks again. And they go 9-8 and miss the playoffs, which would be the fourth consecutive year of missing the postseason for Cincinnati and Joe Burrow after back-to-back AFC Championship games and a Super Bowl appearance. I'm telling you this right now. We are less than, we can call it a year just to give it a nice round number. We are 365 days away, less than that, honestly. We are 10 months away, potentially. 10 months away, potentially, from Joe Burrow trying to force his way out of Cincinnati. You want to talk about a storyline that would dominate from February to April next year if the Bengals miss the playoffs? If that defense is a hot mess again and they can't stop anybody and they miss the postseason again? Tell me that wouldn't be the biggest story in football next offseason. Joe Burrow wants out of Cincinnati. You would have teams lining up to sell like their firstborn children for Joe Burrow. That's what this could be. They had to make this move. So do I think the Giants got the better of it? Absolutely. 10th overall for a distressed asset? No question the Giants got the better of it. But if you're the Cincinnati Bengals and you want to keep your stud quarterback long-term, this was a trade you had to make. A win-win for the Giants and the Cincinnati Bengals. The NFL news that we've got this morning, this is just content from manna from content heaven. This is as good as it gets. I gave you a couple like Old Testament references there. You did manna from heaven. Yeah, so this is the best. 310-840-4910. 310-840-4910. YouTube.com/@thekostos. We're just getting started here on this Monday. We've got news out of San Francisco with the Niners. We've got news out of Philadelphia and New England. Oh, baby. And we've got news out of Pittsburgh with Aaron Rodgers. We will get to all of it here in this opening hour on this Monday, draft week. You better, you bet. Westwood One Sports with Nick Kostos, presented by BetMGM.
I've been in communication with Aaron. I think Mike has. I know Mike has also. We've got good communication, honest communication, but nothing new to report there. So happy to take any questions.
Do you have a deadline?
No deadline. All I'll tell you guys is I don't foresee this going like it did last year. So.
Now, back to You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos on Westwood One Sports.
Oh, that is rich. This segment on You Better You Bet sponsored by Progressive Commercial Insurance, protecting your business vehicles 24/7. See if you can save at progressivecommercial.com, progressivecommercial.com. That was the voice of Steelers general manager Omar Khan earlier this offseason, saying he doesn't expect the Aaron Rodgers situation to drag out like it did last year. Amazing. Amazing. Like, this is your friend whose girlfriend keeps cheating on him. There is a long checkered history of this girl. She is a cheater. And other words that I won't use to describe on a family-friendly show. And he gets asked, you're going to get back together with her. What are you thinking? He goes, well, this time, I think it'll go differently than last time. Really? Is that what you think? It's not like there's years of evidence that would tell you something different's going to happen. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. NFL media insider Ian Rappaport tweeting an hour ago. There are two tweets. I will read both of them. Quote, the draft's on Thursday, and it's in Pittsburgh. You think Aaron Rodgers cares about any of this? And you know what? He doesn't have to care, but you would think he might. The draft's in Pittsburgh. That they're going to be full-throated, and you think they're going to be happy Steelers fans on Thursday night? Ready to know who their quarterback's going to be? Quote, the Steelers have not received word from Aaron Rodgers on his future, and there is no expectation of a final decision prior to the NFL draft. When minicamp begins today under new coach Mike McCarthy, Will Howard will be QB1. Will Howard will be QB1, which would be great if we were talking about Indiana, Florida, Miami, not the Dolphins, the Hurricanes. Maybe Will Howard can be, I'm not saying Will Howard can't be good, but if you're a Steelers fan, how are you not sick over this? How are you not disgusted by this? That your owner, Art Rooney II, your GM Omar Khan have both been saying, we don't expect this to drag out. We expect resolution before the draft. Well, guess what? Doesn't look like you're going to get it. And that doesn't mean that Aaron Rodgers next week can't announce I'm coming back. If I had to guess, water gun to my head, I think he's coming back. I do think he'll be back. But the fact that we're doing this rigmarole again, it's 2026, and we're still doing this with Aaron Rodgers. We're still doing it with this guy. It's Aaron Rodgers and Mike McCarthy like it's 2018 in Green Bay. And here we are, and it's 2026 in Pittsburgh with the Steelers. What a joke. What a joke. If you're the Steelers, do they know if he's coming back? What if he doesn't? Will Howard's going to start this season? Why did you hire Mike McCarthy? So he could bring along a young quarterback? If the whole thing was you're starting from scratch, which you are if Will Howard's the quarterback, then why would you hire Mike McCarthy? What's the point of this? Don't you go for a younger coach? Tear it down, build it back up, instead of remaining in the cycle, the vicious cycle of 8-9, 9-8, 10-7, 7 seed in the AFC playoffs, and get your ass handed to you and sent home on wild card weekend. Aaron Rodgers isn't going to make his decision before the draft. Classic. Predictable. insanely predictable. Except this time, it's not the New York Jets. It's the Pittsburgh Steelers. And maybe, I'm wrong about this. Maybe the standard, and that was Mike Tomlin's line always, right? The standard is the standard. Maybe the standard's been lowered. I expect better from the Pittsburgh Steelers than this. Let's have an honest conversation quickly about the AFC North, right? The Ravens have Jesse Minter as their coach now and signed Trey Hendrickson. Does anyone, I understand that the Steelers won the AFC North. They beat the Ravens on the final game of the season, right? Does anyone think the Steelers are better than the Ravens? Really? Really? The Bengals just traded for Dexter Lawrence. I'll take Cincy over Pittsburgh this year. Just like, you can't make it up. The Steelers. The standard is the standard, except now it's not. Now the standard is, hey, Aaron, you do whatever the hell you want and take the future of the franchise is in your hands. That's the standard now. Pathetic. And again, I do think that he'll play for Pittsburgh this season. But the fact that this is going to extend past the draft, does anyone think this is ridiculous? Or are we all just going to play along like, oh, no big deal. It's okay. It's not okay. It's okay if you're the Jets. It's not okay if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers. You bet on this Monday. Nick Kostos and you on Westwood One Sports. Well, we gave you one NFL insider breaking story this morning. Let's give you another. ESPN's Adam Schefter tweeting this morning what we've all known if you pay attention. And I guess that's unfair to say, right? Because I have a lot of angry Eagles fans tweeting me, Instagram DMing me, you're an idiot. Worse than that, the Eagles are never trading A.J. Brown. Okay. ESPN's Adam Schefter tweeting this morning that A.J. Brown is likely to be traded by the Patriots to the Patriots. I'm going to say this again because we're going to cut this into a social video and we'll do this live on the air. We'll do it live. ESPN's Adam Schefter tweeting this morning that A.J. Brown is likely to be traded to the New England Patriots on or around June 1st, which is when the financial ramifications of the Eagles trading him, it's less of a financial burden for Philadelphia. We've been telling you this for a long time, that this makes a ton of sense, not just from the Eagles' perspective, to move on from A.J. Brown after the disaster for the offense last season with Jalen Hurts, but also makes a ton of sense for the New England Patriots, who desperately need A.J. Brown to keep up with the Joneses in the AFC, where the Chiefs will be better than they were last year. Hard to be worse. The Ravens, I think, have a better chance of winning a Super Bowl, and the Bills have a better chance of winning the Super Bowl, and the Bengals just traded for Dexter Lawrence, and the Chargers have Mike McDaniel as our offensive coordinator, and the Broncos traded for Jalen Waddle. It makes too much sense that this happens. So that part of the report, not a surprise to me and shouldn't be a surprise to you if you're paying attention, that A.J. Brown's going to get traded to the Patriots on or around June 1st. The part of the story, though, that I found fascinating with A.J. Brown is that the Eagles, and I'm going to read this here. This is from Schefter, and this is on ESPN.com. It's actually like a terrific piece. It is a long written column with draft intel. It's really good. I read it this morning. It's great, sincerely. Schefter writes, to be clear, the Eagles are not concerned about adding draft capital for this week's draft. Acquiring additional picks in 2027 and 28 is even more enticing to them, per sources. Picks in future years were the compensation that was discussed when the Eagles and Rams had extensive trade conversations regarding A.J. Brown, which did not materialize into a deal. Now, since then, the Eagles have acquired 3 wide receivers. They signed Hollywood Brown in free agency, they signed Elijah Moore in free agency, and they traded for Green Bay's Dontavian Wicks and signed him to an extension. I thought about it this morning when I read this. And that note, right, that they're interested in compensation for 27 and 28. And I kind of had this eureka moment, this light bulb moment. Now, this is, and I acknowledge, molten hot take. It is. But I think it's going to prove to be correct. Think about the Eagles' offense this year and what it's going to be. Now, let's assume for a moment, and I believe this, that the Eagles are not taking a wide receiver with their first-round pick. I think it's more likely in a really deep tackle draft that the Eagles take an offensive tackle at pick 23. Lane Johnson long in the tooth, and we know how Howie Roseman likes to operate, right? You want to get ahead of problems before they exist. I think they are likely to take a tackle at pick 23 and not a receiver. So if that's true, maybe they take a receiver in the second round, but we're not talking like potential. I don't think they're getting KC Concepcion in the second round, right? Certainly not going to get Carnell Tate or Jordan Tyson or Mekhi Lemon. Who are they getting? Who could be a difference maker in year one? I'm not saying it can't happen, just that the way I've laid it out. Do you disagree with that? That means that the Eagles will enter this season with wide receivers. Devontae Smith, okay, he's awesome. There are reports that they think he could be Jackson Smith and Jigba this season. Okay. Yeah, you just give me offensive player of the year, no problem. Best receiver in football, all good. I don't mean that as an insult to Devontae Smith, just like I don't know if that's the bar you want to put out there. Best receiver in football. Maybe not going to happen. Devontae Smith, Dontavian Wicks, Hollywood Brown, Elijah Moore, Dallas Goedert. Those are the pass catchers. Aging offensive line. Now, defense is going to be awesome again. Vic Fangio's back. I have no concerns about the Eagles' defense. The Eagles' defense is going to be really good. But with the way I just laid that out, does it sound to you like the Eagles are a team? I'm not saying they can't make the playoffs, but does it sound like they are a Super Bowl threat this season if those are the pass catchers? Does it sound that way to you? Like this is a team that could beat in January the Rams, the Seahawks. How about the San Francisco 49ers who just re-signed Trent Williams? We'll get to that coming up in a little bit here. So that has happened. The Niners have re-signed for future first ballot Hall of Fame left tackle Trent Williams. I don't know if I'd pick the Eagles over any of those teams. I'll take it a step further. I think the way it's tracking right now, assuming Dallas gets it right with their 2 first-round picks, I think the Cowboys are going to win the NFC East. The Eagles won't even win the division. And that could mean that we are setting up, right, wrong, or indifferent, I think it's wrong, for Jalen Hurts' final year in Philadelphia as the Eagles' starting quarterback. Let's go back to the beginning of this and the Adam Schefter line from his column that I read to you. The Eagles want to acquire additional picks in 27 and 28. Now, why would they do that? Right? Windhorst meme. Because you could figure out a way to finagle something if you wanted it now for this year. You could figure it out. Why do they want picks in the future? Could it be that they're loading up to replace Jalen Hurts? I am a huge Jalen Hurts fan. I'm on record saying that. So this is not what I would do. I would keep him. But we're reading the tea leaves here. I want everybody to tell me how this reporting, does it even plant a seed of doubt for you that this could be it for Jalen Hurts in Philly? Is it true that the Eagles, if this is what it's going to be, are not at the level of the best teams in the NFC, even if they're an 11-win team? I think that's true. So let's fast forward to January. What happens if and when the Eagles lose to one of the 3 juggernauts in the NFC West, What happens if they lose to one of the teams in the NFC North? Hell, what if they lose to Dallas in the postseason? It's not good enough in Philadelphia, and this is a compliment, to make the playoffs. You got to win the Super Bowl or at least get pretty far in the postseason. If and when they get bounced, and if Jalen Hurts doesn't have a good season, the stats are low, we get more reporting on infighting, and he changes plays at the line of scrimmage. Tell me that it's not a possibility, especially if they have multiple picks to work with in a quarterback-rich draft in 2027. A little food for thought on this Monday morning of draft week. We'll take a break. On the other side, the San Francisco 49ers get it done with future first ballot Hall of Fame left tackle Trent Williams. We'll tell you what that means for the Niners. And we've got some reporting coming on the top 5 of the NFL draft that makes me sick to my stomach. And I'm actually not talking about my Giants. I'll tell you what it is next.
we love having Trent as a Niner, and it's up to us to figure that out and to thread that needle. There's some unique circumstances in that we all know what Trent is as a player, how great of a player he's been. He's going to be 38 years old, and so there's some things that go into that. But I think we're all on the same page. And
Now, back to You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos on Westwood One Sports.
Yes, there are some things that go into that. 49ers general manager John Lynch. She's 38 years old. So what goes into it? About a 2-year, $50 million contract extension for the very rich Trent Williams. We'll break that down in just a moment. But listen, our show sponsor is BetMGM, and we want you to log into the BetMGM app to receive your Any Sport Parlay Boost token. I got a parlay that I'm itching to place, bet responsibly please, for tonight's action in the NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs, and I've got a wacky baseball betting angle for today that I can't wait to run by Tyler and Kenny and you at the end of the show. To use the Parlay Boost token, add a parlay wager made up of any sport wagers to your bet slip and activate the token. If you win your wager that was made with the token, you'll receive extra winnings. Download the BetMGM app today, and again, please gamble responsibly. So it is official. The San Francisco 49ers have worked it out with star left tackle Trent Williams, who will walk into Canton when his career is over. 2 years, $50 million. He is now a Niner through the 2027 season, and he has said repeatedly he wants to play until he's 40. Do the math. He's 38, 2 years. It gets you there. So Trent Williams back in the fold for Kyle Shanahan and the Niners. So now we can take a look at what San Francisco's done this offseason. Following a year where they were ravaged by injuries and made it to the divisional round of the playoffs, Trent Williams is back. They signed Mike Evans, future first ballot Hall of Fame wide receiver, who is going to beast in the Kyle Shanahan offensive scheme. Christian Kirk for receiver depth. Dre Greenlaw's coming back at linebacker. They traded for Osi Odigizua from the Dallas Cowboys for a third-round pick. Now, I think Dallas is going to use that as ammunition to make a move. So, I don't hate it for Dallas, but, Osi Odigizua is worth more than a third-round pick. That is a great trade for the San Francisco 49ers, and Odigizua fits perfectly in Raheem Morris's defensive scheme. And I told you the day after it happened, I love the hire of Raheem Morris as defensive coordinator of the San Francisco 49ers. It's April 20th. Happy 420 day to those who celebrate. Apparently, I said in the last segment, someone tweeted me that the Dallas Mavericks were going to trade up in the NFL draft. I meant the Cowboys. For me, many days have been 420. So my apologies on that mistake if I did make it. April 20th. My prediction. The San Francisco 49ers will represent the NFC in next year's Super Bowl. It's time. It's time for Kyle Shanahan. It's time for Kyle to get over the hump. I love this roster. I love the coaching staff. I think they're percolating. Kyle has been so close so many times. Whether Super Bowl 51 with the Falcons, whether yakking it away twice to Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. I think it's finally time for Kyle Shanahan. Now, nothing's going to be set in stone yet, but I'm feeling like we are going to get the Chris Berman special in next year's Super Bowl. The San Francisco 49ers and the Buffalo Bills. If you're a Buffalo sports fan, how about those Sabres last night against the Bruins? We will talk NHL playoffs next hour. We will get to the NBA playoffs as well. We'll talk some WrestleMania. A lot to cram into this 3-hour show. So much happening in the world of sports, and you absolutely have to love it. You bet. Bill Zimmerman writes, are you sure we'll get to all of that? I'm going to try my damnedest. We'll see how it goes. You bet on this Monday. Nick Kostos here with you. The NFL draft is coming up on Thursday. And I think we know two things. And you know what? We know one thing, and I think another thing. We know Fernando Mendoza is going to be the first overall pick to the Las Vegas Raiders. How do we know that? Kirk Cousins said when he got introduced as the Raiders' new quarterback, Fernando will be a great addition to our quarterback room. Mendoza's going first overall. It feels like the Jets at 2, and who the hell knows what could happen, that the Jets will take either Texas Tech edge rusher David Bailey or Ohio State, hybrid off-ball linebacker edge rusher Arvell Reese at 2nd overall. So I know Mendoza's going first. I think that's what's going to happen at number 2. Both ESPN's Adam Schefter and The Ringer's Todd McShay reporting this morning or tweeting this morning intel that they've received that Notre Dame running back Jeremiah Love is very much in play for the Arizona Cardinals at 3rd overall. This would be like the equivalent of buying a plot of land so you can build a house. The plot of land is empty, and you are going to build a house. The first thing that you should do when you build a house is lay the foundation. You lay a foundation on which everything can rest and sit. A foundation to build upon. If the Arizona Cardinals, in draft 1 for new head coach Mike LaFleur, and I understand the GM Monty Ossenfort's been there for a while. I get it. But this is now like slate's clean, new regime, new house. This would be like the equivalent. Instead of laying a foundation, you decide to build a bowling alley. Or a tennis court next to the plot of land. The Arizona Cardinals have no foundation. Their quarterbacks are Gardner Minshew and Jacoby Brissett. And we'll see if they trade for Ty Simpson. Right? I don't know if that'll happen or not. Their quarterbacks stink. Marvin Harrison Jr., I don't know if he's a bust, but it doesn't look like he's great. There's some reason to be excited on defense, but not that much. You're going to take a running back 3rd overall as you look to reset your franchise. Are we kidding here? Like, is that a joke? If the Arizona Cardinals select Jeremiah Love 3rd overall on Thursday night, and I always feel like we need to say this, right? It's not an insult to Jeremiah Love. He's a spectacular football player. He's going to be a monster in the NFL. I have the 1st overall pick in a dynasty fantasy football draft that Bill Zimmerman, our executive producer, and I are in together. I'm taking Jeremiah Love 1st overall unless someone wants to come up and trade for that pick. Bill, are you listening? I'm taking him 1st overall. I'm excited to draft him no matter where he goes. But this is a real-life conversation, not a fantasy football conversation. The Cardinals don't have the luxury of having a foundation built and bedrooms built and a badass kitchen and an awesome basement, a finished basement, and a man cave and all these great bathrooms. No, they got nothing. And they want an outdoor basketball court. Ass backwards, if that's true, and the Arizona Cardinals select Jeremiah Love 3rd overall. Hour 1 done. Hour 2 for you coming up on this magnificent Sports Monday. Oh, man, we haven't even touched the NBA playoffs. Let me ask you a question. Who was the 1 seed and who was the 8 seed yesterday in Detroit between the Magic and the Pistons? We'll get into that. We'll talk about the Lakers and the Rockets and more on a Monday. Westwood One Sports, Nick Kostos and you, presented by BetMGM.
biggest names in the business are on You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos.
Hey, this is Joe Buck, and you have done it. You have found it. You are listening to You Better You Bet. Great decision.
Hi, this is Kevin Harlan of CBS, Westwood One, and TNT, and I'm listening, as you do every day, to You Better You Bet with the most handsome single man in the radio business. A man who, if I was not married for 38 years, I might consider myself the kind of guy that can electrify a listening audience and a crowd of bystanders watching him do what he does so well each and every day. Continue to listen right here on You Better You Bet.
This is You Better You Bet on Westwood One Sports. Brought to you by BetMGM.
The magnificent Sports Monday edition of You Better You Bet rolls on. Nick Kostos, our crew, and you here on Westwood One Sports. I want to give a lot of credit to ESPN for a second. I have on the TVs in my office, I have ESPN on one of them, and they are running, and I can only assume that this will be running for the entire week. A countdown to the NFL draft clock in real time. So as it stands at this moment right now, we are at 81 hours, 59 minutes, and 5 seconds mark. It's an inside radio and TV thing there. 81 hours away. How great is that? Yeah, I'll tell you what, man. ESPN doing a nice job. I love that, the countdown clock on ESPN for the NFL draft. Didn't expect to do the whole first hour of today's show on the National Football League, but hey, you got a ton of news on a Monday morning. Got to react to it. It's draft week. We absolutely love it. We talked about the Dexter Lawrence trade. Win-win for both the Giants and the Bengals. I do think the Giants got the better of the deal, but I understand it from the Cincy perspective. You got to make sure Joe Burrow sticks around for the long term. You got to win this year. Dexter Lawrence helps you do that. I like the trade for both teams. I don't even want to think about the Aaron Rodgers situation anymore because we have to do NBA, but I'm infuriated by it. He apparently won't make his decision before the NFL draft. What a joke. I told you why. I think this could be Jalen Hurts' last season in Philadelphia. I thought I backed it up well. You can check it out in podcast form if you missed it. Told you about the Trent Williams extension in San Francisco and why the Arizona Cardinals drafting Jeremiah Love at 3 would just be beyond insane. Still have a lot to do. WrestleMania conversation coming up next hour. We'll talk Stanley Cup playoffs and what I thought the most consequential result from the weekend was. Justin Termine coming up later this hour from SiriusXM NBA Radio. Connor Orr, who covers the NFL for Sports Illustrated, next hour on the show. But for right now, we get into the NBA playoffs. So every series, a game old at this point. And the biggest result from the weekend. Now, look, if Lakers Rockets had been yesterday, we probably would have led with that. But that game was on Saturday. So we will lead with the biggest game from yesterday, which was the Orlando Magic shoving it in my face after what I said about Orlando on Thursday on the show and picked, which was just, honestly, as a sports bettor, I should know better than to bet the Hornets on Friday night. But that's a terrible bet by me. Now, I'm not saying this to gas myself up or because there's no proof, but I don't lie to you. I had Orlando money line yesterday, just like I don't know how you're laying the Pistons in that game. It was either Detroit wins by 1 million or Orlando carries the momentum and wins outright. So I'm not surprised by the result of the game, which feels nuts because we should be, right? So Orlando scores 35 points in the first quarter yesterday after trucking the Hornets on Friday night to become the 8th seed and rides it to an upset win to take a 1-0 series lead over the Pistons. Detroit, a minus 200 favorite now to win the series, down a game. Orlando at plus 165. If I'm betting that price right now, I'm betting the Orlando Magic. I'm betting Orlando in the series. And maybe I'm way wrong about that, and maybe Detroit just takes care of business, and Orlando does the Jekyll and Hyde thing, and they go back the other way, and it becomes a disaster, and Mosley does get fired like a lot of us expected to happen if they had lost to the Hornets on Friday night. Now, we can credit the Magic, and they obviously deserve a ton of credit, right? For doing what they did on Friday night, first and foremost against Charlotte, following just a terrible performance against the Philadelphia 76ers. where it looked like they were a dead team walking. And they were going to get on the plane to Cancun right after that game. Were they even going to show up against the Hornets? They destroyed Charlotte on Friday night and then carried the momentum over. And really looked like the team that entered the season with a win total of 50.5. Paolo was great. Franz Wagner was awesome. Jalen Suggs was omnipresent. Like, anytime you look like Nightcrawler from X-Men. He's like teleporting all over the court. He was unbelievable. He was great in the game. Desmond Bane's good in the game. Wendell Carter gives you something. That's an A-plus Orlando Magic game. To me, it's more about the Pistons. It's more about Detroit. And the really scary thing for the Pistons, we call the Orlando Magic is the team name. Do you know what the magic trick that Orlando pulled yesterday against Detroit? Making Jalen Duren disappear. Abra cadabra. Jalen Duren, absolute monster in the regular season for Detroit. All NBA caliber player. He was fantastic. And he really stepped up and showed out when Cade Cunningham was out with the collapsed lung. So did Dennis Jenkins, but Duren is really the number 2. He's the Robin to Cade Cunningham's Batman. Jalen Duren in game 1 against Orlando. 8 points, 3 of 4 from the field. Really? If you're a Pistons fan, this is your worst nightmare. This is your worst case scenario. Because the chickens have come to roost. This is everything that everybody said about the Pistons the entire regular season leading up to the playoffs. Great. Cade Cunningham's a monster, right? What happens when someone else on the Pistons has to make a big shot? Then what happens? What happens when you force Cade Cunningham to pass the ball? Can someone then take that pass and make a shot consistently enough that Detroit can make the NBA Finals? NBA Finals? Can they beat the Orlando Magic if this is what it's going to be? Can they beat the Magic? Jalen Duren, 8 points. That's what this is going to be. Tobias Harris and Duncan. Think about these names. Tobias Harris and Duncan Robinson combined to go 4 of 13 from 3. Dennis Jenkins, who had his star-making turn when Cade was out with the collapsed lung, gives you nothing in this game yesterday. So the Pistons, after it looked like during Cade's absence, everybody steps up and everybody's going to be great, have once again become Cade and the Cadettes. That's what this is. Or at least that's what it was in game number 1. And yeah, Detroit's uber physical. And Detroit grinds you down. Orlando plays the same game. Does Detroit have the physical advantage? I think they do. And to be clear, water gun to my head, who's going to win the series? Life on the line, I would take Detroit. But if we're talking betting, would you rather lay minus 200 with the Pistons or take plus 165 with Orlando? It's Orlando, right? Stylistically, the way the two teams play, I think it's Orlando. So I'm not going to predict the Orlando upset and say it's definitely going to happen, but I'll tell you what, I wouldn't be surprised if it happened. And what that does now is shine an even greater and brighter spotlight, and I've been saying this for a while, on the Knicks and the Celtics in round 2. And that is the Eastern Conference Final. With apologies to the Cleveland Cavaliers, I don't trust them with James Harden. I can be wrong. I'm going to stick with that, and I feel good about it. And even if the Pistons make it, Detroit, look, I'm not trying to be a hater at all. The Pistons are not beating the Knicks or the Celtics in the Eastern Conference. They're just not. They may not even beat Orlando. They may not even beat Cleveland. We'll see how it goes. The Knicks and the Celtics both win their respective game 1s. Jason Tatum, 25 points in his first playoff game since popping his Achilles against the Knicks 48 weeks ago. Amazing story. Continues to defy physics and physiology and modern medicine. The guy's a stud. Jaylen Brown, 26 points. The Sixers have no chance in this series. And I don't mean that as an insult to Philadelphia. They don't have Joel Embiid. They're going to get slaughtered by Boston. I think Philly will win one game that Maxey goes off and scores like 48 points, and that'll be it. Otherwise, put the Celtics in round 2. And I know, and I'm one of these people, I didn't pick Atlanta to win the series. I like the Knicks to win the series. I bet the Knicks in game 1. I think the Knicks will win the series. I was concerned about Atlanta, mostly because Atlanta's not Toronto, and I would have rather seen the Raptors than the Atlanta Hawks. The Knicks take care of business on Saturday, win game 1, cover the spread. The thing that gave me, as a Knicks fan, the most optimism in the Knicks, not only in this series, but moving forward as well, and we got game 2 coming up tonight against Atlanta, but the thing that happened in game 1 that gave me a ton of optimism, both for this series and moving forward in the Eastern Conference playoffs, the play of Karl Anthony Towns. 25-8, 10 of 10 from the line, aggressive, looked like he was rising up to the moment and not shrinking away from it. And we can all, I'm sure we will, throughout the playoffs, I'm sure it will happen, and we did it in the regular season, and we're right to do it, questioning, what is Mikal Bridges' role on this team? What is he? What would you say it is you do here? And it's a valid question. But the question that really impacts the Knicks and their ability to get to the NBA Finals for the first time this century is, can Karl Anthony Towns be Jalen Brunson's second banana? A legit second banana. Maybe even be the top banana on a couple nights to lead the Knicks to an Eastern Conference championship. I'm going to stop short of saying he will do that, but I'll tell you what. Saturday night was a step in the right direction, big time, for Karl Anthony Towns and the New York Knicks. We are on a collision course for Knicks Celtics in round 2. And I firmly believe that the winner of that series will be the Eastern Conference champion. ... And then get destroyed by Oklahoma City in the NBA Finals. You bet on this Monday on Westwood One Sports. Fun viewing experience yesterday. Thunder and the Suns. You'll put the game on in the first quarter, and Phoenix is up 5-0. Oh, okay. Yeah, this is maybe this will be a fun. Nope, won't be fun. Well, it's fun if you're a Thunder fan, or if you laid the 85-point spread, which OKC covered. I'm exaggerating a little bit. Just like OKC kills them, just destroys them. They're going to win the title. And look, Wemby was awesome. 35 points in his playoff debut. He wants to take your soul. Spurs beat the Blazers last night. We saw the Nuggets take care of business on Saturday in game 1 against the Wolves. And I worry for Minnesota because Anthony Edwards, I think, is clearly not healthy. Now, I don't think he's playing significantly hurt, but do you watch the game, right? You're a huge sports fan. Do you think Anthony Edwards is 100% healthy? Because if he's fully healthy and he gets there, Minnesota can beat Denver. They've beaten Denver in the past in the playoffs. If he's not 100%, Denver's going to win this series. And we're going to get Denver San Antonio in round 2. And if and when we get there, that game is going and that series is going to rule. One other Western Conference series that we need to discuss. And this would probably have been the lead if it had been played yesterday and not Saturday. The Lakers beat the Rockets in game 1 in LA on Saturday night. 107-98. In case you were living under a rock, and look, there's a lot going on in sports. Maybe you missed this, where out of nowhere, it's announced before the game that Kevin Durant isn't playing for the Rockets. And we find out that in practice last week, he banged knees apparently, and it was significant enough that he had to miss a playoff game. Out of nowhere, like an RKO. Out of nowhere, Kevin Durant not playing. Okay. And when the Rockets don't have 36-year-old Kevin Durant, they can't do anything. They suck. I'm sorry. And they're still favored to win the series. Minus 225, Lakers plus 185. The Lakers don't have Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves. But you know what? They have LeBron. And LeBron continues to stiff-arm Father Time at age 41. 19-8-13 in game one. Luke Kennard has 27 points. I don't understand how, if you're Ime Udoka and the Houston Rockets, how is the game plan not just don't let LeBron do anything? That's the game plan. Like, you don't let LeBron do a single thing. Make Luke Kennard beat you. Make Rui Hachimura beat you. LeBron, 13-7. Like, really? This team infuriates me, the Houston Rockets. Now, look, Durant doesn't play in the game. He's the most important player on the team. Like, Van Vliet got hurt before the season. It seems like Ime Udoka has refused to let Reed Shepherd be the primary point guard. Durant's basically the point guard. Played 1 million minutes a game in the regular season. Like, Udoka, plays the starters into the ground. And now here we are in the playoffs. And Luke Kennard's dropping 27 on that ass, and you're down 1-0. Rockets are lucky game 2's not tonight, and they get an extra day. Game 2's tomorrow night in Los Angeles. If Kevin Durant doesn't play, the Lakers are going to win again. And they'll be up 2-0. And who knows when Luke and Austin Reeves are going to be back. This is like best case scenario for the Los Angeles Lakers. This is a lifeline that they just got. This is, you're in a video game, and your health has 1 red bar left, and you somehow stumble upon a power-up. And now you have a full bar of health. That's the Lakers right now because of this. Kevin Durant misses tomorrow night's game. Lakers are going to be up 2-0 in this series. Durant plays. I think Houston evens the series at a game apiece. I think the Rockets will win the series if Kevin Durant is healthy throughout. The Rockets, though, are a waste of time. Great. Like, they beat the Lakers. What? It's like a movie rating, right? I don't think you could Thunder Rockets second round. That movie can't be rated R. That's NC-17. What the Thunder will do to the Rockets in that series. The Rockets, Kevin Durant brings the ball up the court. How many turnovers do you think the Rockets are going to have? They're going to get swept. Honestly, from a basketball perspective, the most fun thing is if the Rockets continue to yak this away and Luke is able to come back for the Lakers. That's the most fun thing. Honestly, that's what I'm going to root for now. I'm done with the Rockets. Doesn't mean they can or won't win tomorrow night or can or won't win the series. They're favored to win the series. But I'll tell you what, man. They stink out loud. You know who doesn't stink? The star of Sirius XM NBA radio. The very handsome Justin Termine. He will join us on the other side to break down the weekend that was in the NBA playoffs, and I'll ask JT, hey JT, who is the 1 seed and who is the 8 seed in the Eastern Conference with Detroit and Orlando? Because if you didn't know any better, you'd have thought Detroit was the 8 seed. We'll get to that on the other side. You bet on a Monday. Nick Kostos and you on Westwood One Sports.
confidence after the win in the play-in, 121-90 over Charlotte, and a wire-to-wire victory for the first time under Jamal Mosley. The Magic have won a road playoff game.
Now, back to You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos on Westwood One Sports.
This segment on You Better You Bet sponsored by Progressive Commercial Insurance, protecting your business vehicles 24/7. See if you can save at progressivecommercial.com. That the voice of Baby Bird, our pal Noah Eagle on NBC, is the Magic take it to the Pistons in Game 1, upsetting the 1 seed in the East, take a 1-0 series lead. Joining us right now to talk about that and everything we saw this weekend in the NBA playoffs, my good friend, the star of Sirius XM NBA Radio, the wildly entertaining Justin Termine. You can listen to him on Sirius XM NBA Radio, NBA Today with Eddie Johnson, weekdays 4 to 7 p.m. Eastern. And you can watch him on his new YouTube page, youtube.com/Termine Radio. Termine spelled Termine. My friend, welcome back to the show. Happy Monday. How are you?
Well, I'm not doing well because I haven't looked in the mirror. I'm seeing myself now here on the camera, and I look atrocious. I look as bad as the Houston Rockets offense here over the weekend. So I got to freshen up immediately after this spot.
Yeah, I feel like, you do a lot of good for us on the show because every time you come on, you're awesome. And I love having you. I feel like I want to help you with your physical appearance. I want to give you a couple tips, a couple pointers, something to do with you. I don't know what this hair is. But we can fix this. You have good stuff to work with here. Do we have a deal, or are you not interested?
I mean, you can help me out. I can tell you can fix maybe the hair, but one of the reasons that I got the sweater on is I can't compete with the guns that you have. If I'm showing those things off in a short sleeve shirt, I'm in trouble. I don't think there's enough time to get the guns to where you are. I'm 45, and the muscles have stopped developing. They might have stopped developing at 12.
Well, I'm almost 43, and I'll tell you, it is my extreme vanity that has pushed me towards this here. It is unhealthy. So I would say that you, even if you have smaller arms than me, you probably have more self-confidence at the end of the day than I do, which is why do you think I have all these tattoos?
You've always been far more vain. You've always cared a lot about no, I've never cared. I don't care.
Yeah, which is I think there's something to be said for that. I'm masking a lot here with everything that I've got going on, and I admit that. All right, let's talk NBA playoffs. I'm actually kind of not surprised with what happened Game 1 with Orlando and Detroit, and I think now it's, well, first off, are you surprised, and do you give the Magic a good shot to upset the Pistons and win this series? To break it down for us, Orlando and Detroit.
The only reason I'm surprised is because I thought Orlando quit. I didn't think that Orlando was as bad as they were in regards to the talent. In fact, I hate to admit this, I'm an absolute moron who picked them to go to the NBA Finals at the start of the year. I thought that they were that good because last year defensively they were number 2 overall, and then this year they were going to improve the offense drastically by bringing in Desmond Bane. The thing that was always confusing to me was Desmond Bane did his job all season long. Anthony Black took a major step forward, and still the team took a major step back. So it was always confusing. But the team that you saw last night is the team I thought we were going to get at the beginning of the year. And the reason why Detroit is susceptible to the upset in this is just the matchup. And that's what the postseason is all about. This is a team where Detroit is very physical. That's how they win. Well, guess what? Orlando can match them physically. That's not going to be an issue. So they can go blow for blow in that department. And if they're going to play with that type of energy and confidence, I mean, last night they got to the foul line a lot less than Detroit, and they still ended up winning. So I do think there are some major concerns here for Detroit moving forward.
I'm thinking about a bet potentially, JT. And to be clear, this is not life on the line. I think this is going to happen. I think the winner of Knicks Celtics is going to win the Eastern Conference. You picked Orlando to win the East before the season. Let's say Orlando wins the series against Detroit. Okay, now you get Cleveland in round 2 in all likelihood. They can't beat James Harden in round 2. Is there a scenario where the Magic can be Dr. Jekyll as opposed to moving to Mr. Hyde and you just get good Orlando the rest of the postseason? What is this? And I understand this is something crazy to say. They won one game as the 8th seed. Yeah. But is there a ceiling for the Magic to make a deep postseason run here?
No, I don't think that there is, just because they don't have the offense where they can get hot. Like you recall last year, Indiana made that deep run. They did it off the back of their offense and getting hot and a bunch of guys that could light you up. It was one of the more fun offenses that we've had in quite some time. This Orlando offense, even though it worked yesterday, and even if you had the talent, okay, let's say that you injected the talent of Denver's offense. Well, they still don't have the creativity. You still have to run some form of set in order to get open shots, and they don't even do that type of thing. So I just don't think that they're, from a coaching perspective, can get that far, or from a talent perspective offensively can get that far. But certainly they're capable of beating Detroit. I didn't see it at the outset. Now, again, not based off talent, just based off the fact they seem to have quit, but they tried hard yesterday.
Who wins the series, Orlando or Detroit?
I'm still going to go with Detroit. I mean, they were the number 1 seed. They got the best player in the series in Cade Cunningham, but we're going to need something from Jalen Duren, because
what happened to that? How did they take these 8 points? How'd that happen? That, by the way, is a line for your show. That was the magic act that they pulled yesterday. They made Jalen Duren disappear. You could take that on the house.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. My ratings will go down the drain just like yours are right now. But yeah, Jalen Duren, I voted for him 3rd team All-NBA. I thought he was the 3rd best center behind Jokic and Wembanyama. And like you said, that was a magic act. He disappeared. They made him disappear.
Lakers Rockets was just, you can view it in a couple ways, right? Like, what a game by LeBron, defying Father Time. Lakers, can they win the series and get Luka back? Just like the Rockets, dude. I can't with this team. Your thoughts on Lakers-Rockets? Lakers win game 1, no Kevin Durant, and we don't know if Kevin Durant's going to play tomorrow night, JT, in game 2 in Los Angeles.
Yeah, I mean, the concerning part for me would be if he sat out with a knee injury after he played 78 to 82 games. It's pretty significant, because you could say a lot of things about Kevin Durant. The guy loves to play basketball, so him not being out there, is even going to be 100% if he comes back for game 2. I wouldn't be so certain. And their offense is just atrocious. Think about this. Their offense is god-awful. And then you take out Kevin Durant, who's one of the great offensive players of all time, but you also had him bringing the basketball up. So not only did you rely on Durant to score, you also relied on him as your de facto point guard with no Fred VanVleet. Now, it wasn't working when he was your point guard, but that's basically what he was throughout the course of the entire season. And the other thing that would make you nervous is, like we said, he's played 78 to 82 games. He was 2nd in the entire league in minutes, so they're not accustomed to playing without him. Like, at least the Lakers have played large chunks of the season without Luka, without Austin Reeves, without LeBron, because those guys have missed games. Houston's not accustomed to playing without Durant, so what already is a god-awful offense looks even worse without him in the lineup.
If Kevin Durant does not play tomorrow night for the Rockets in game 2, who wins game 2 tomorrow night with the Lakers in Houston?
I would pick the Lakers, if only because they can run at least a competent offense without Luka and Austin Reeves, because LeBron, is 41, say what you want. He still understands how to get everybody their shots. There's nobody in Houston that understands how to get anybody their shots. There's no easy shots. LeBron will make it so you have some easy offense at least. So I would continue to go with the Lakers.
Not knowing Kevin Durant and how this is going to go with his health moving forward in the series, JT, the Rockets are still favored at BetMGM to win the series -225, Lakers +185. So with Durant's health up in the air, if I made you pick a winner of the series right now, Lakers are up 1-0. Are you taking the Lakers or the Rockets before either team inevitably gets destroyed by the Thunder in round 2?
Yeah, I would go with the Lakers, if only because we don't know about the health of Kevin Durant, and maybe you can get Luka back towards the tail end of this. So even if they stretch this out, right, the goal should just be to stretch this out 5, 6, 7 games. And then we don't know about Durant. We kind of don't know about Luka, but it makes it more likely that it'll come back. And if the Lakers are fully healthy, or if the Lakers have Luka, they're a much better team than the Houston Rockets. The only reason I picked Houston to get out of this series at the outset was because of the injuries. But if they're not going to have Durant, then I would lean towards the Lakers.
You better you bet on this Monday. Westwood One Sports. Nick Kostos joined by Justin Termine, Sirius XM NBA Radio. NBA Today, 4 to 7 p.m. Eastern Time. YouTube.com/@Termine Radio. What was your biggest takeaway, JT, from Knicks-Hawks Game 1, won by New York at Madison Square Garden?
Then we got an aggressive Karl Anthony Towns. If I'm going from the Knicks perspective, we got an aggressive Karl Anthony Towns in the second half. And that's been the biggest question with them all season, is just getting him involved. Like Mike Brown, several different occasions came out and said, well, he's got to take the second most shots on the team. And then you'd go a long stretch right after Mike Brown said that, where he's not taking the second most shots on the team. And even he started out 1 of 6 in the game the other day before he finished up really strong. And he had a tremendous second half with the Jock Landell injury for Atlanta. It might seem small, but that's one extra big that you take off the floor for them. So that's where I think the Knicks have the edge, is Karl Anthony Towns going up against their front court. So if we get an aggressive Karl Anthony Towns, the rest of the way like we got in the second half, that bodes well for the Knicks. On the other side, it's Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who only had 17 points, I think, on like 6 of 17 shooting.
Yep.
You'll recall a couple of weeks earlier, the Knicks the Knicks beat Atlanta by 3 when Nickeil Alexander-Walker had 36. So if they can't even win when he has 36, Atlanta, they're certainly not going to win if he's shooting 6 of 17 for 17 points. He's got to be a lot better.
Yeah, I feel like the Knicks will. Atlanta could win a game or two, but I do feel like my Knicks will win that series. And JT, you're a Celtics fan. I mean, like, the Sixers are dead team walking with no Embiid. Boston rolls over them in game 1. You were at the game in Beantown. I mean, I would have to imagine just watching it on TV. It felt like cathartic a little bit. Not just for the crowd, but for Jason Tatum. First playoff game, obviously, 48 weeks since he pumped his Achilles in Game 4 against the Knicks last year at Madison Square Garden. Take us inside that arena, what it was like, and your impressions of the Celtics in Game 1 as they dominate the 76ers.
I mean, not a typical postseason game, I think, from a crowd perspective, if only because Boston's become so used to it, right? And you also kind of came in thinking that the series was going to be one-sided. I'm sure the atmosphere will pick up moving forward, but clearly everybody's excited about Jason Tatum. At the close, he got a big standing ovation. To me, he already looks, and he's looked like this the last several weeks, as great of a season as Jaylen Brown has had. Tatum already looks, which is amazing because Brown was an MVP candidate, and Jason Tatum already looks like the better of the two players. He just does everything across the board. His rebounding has been amazing. He's a better playmaker. I would say at this point, Jaylen Brown is still probably the better scorer and the more efficient scorer, but Tatum's doing everything. And the thing that stands out to me is the playmaking and the rebounding. As a matter of fact, I used this stat when I voted for Jokic over SGA for MVP, one of many stats, because I feel like Jokic is the MVP, is Tatum has only been back for about a month and a half. He finished the season with more double-doubles than SGA. That seems nuts to me. SGA is going to win the MVP, and Tatum, a month and a half after missing 10 and a half months with an Achilles issue, has more double-doubles on the season than SGA. Guy just fills up the box score.
Fait accompli in your eyes that the Thunder win the NBA championship and go back-to-back assuming health?
I wouldn't say it's fait accompli, but in fact, I would have maybe picked the field if San Antonio had won that game on the final day of the regular season, because then OKC would have had to go through both Denver and San Antonio in order to just get to the NBA Finals. And Boston in the Finals has even matched up well against OKC this year, winning one game and then another 2-point game on the road, even though they didn't have Tatum or Derek White out there. So I would have picked against them, but this road is now ridiculously easy, where they don't even have to play one competitive game, in my estimation, until you get to the conference finals against a potentially beat up Denver or beat up San Antonio team. So I think they win, not just because they're the most talented team, but also they have by far and away the easiest path to get there.
Final question, JT, at least on the NBA playoffs. So you mentioned in the Western Conference final, right, that it'll be likely OKC against either San Antonio or Denver, which means that you think, and I think, Denver's going to get past Minnesota here in round 1. Now, Denver won game 1 on Saturday, and Minnesota can bitch and moan about all of Jamal Murray's free throws. He kind of did get fouled a lot in the game. But for me, JT, Anthony Edwards doesn't look like Anthony Edwards right now. And he's listed as questionable for tonight. I think we expect him to play. Denver's getting bet right now in the market. Denver about a 6.5-point favorite. I'm expecting Edwards to play in the game. To me, that bad sign here early for Minnesota. The game 1 went the way it did, and Edwards isn't 100% healthy. What's your read right now on the Nuggets and the Wolves?
Yeah, I mean, and the really bad sign is I don't even think Jokic played well. He played like a really frustrating game. Now, it's amazing. He plays, doesn't play well. Guy still got a 23-point triple-double, right? But I don't think he played well. Aaron Gordon picked up 3 fouls 9-10 minutes into that game and had to leave for the entire second quarter. And still, Denver ends up getting the victory. So I think that's a really bad sign. And yeah, Anthony Edwards has to be able to match almost step for step Jokic. He certainly has to be able to match Jamal Murray. And if both Murray, Jokic wasn't good, he was still better than Anthony Edwards. Jamal Murray was the best player on the floor, I think, for both teams. So if Anthony Edwards can at least be better than Jamal Murray, they have no shot in the series. And I agree with you. He doesn't look 100%. There was a couple of different points there where he came down. It looked like he was grimacing, didn't play well. And that's why I thought Minnesota, like these people go, oh, Minnesota's got an outside shot. Okay, yeah, they're going to beat Denver on the road. Then they're going to beat San Antonio on the road. Then they're going to beat OKC on the road. Okay, Minnesota's got a shot. Minnesota's got no shot.
Yeah, especially without a healthy Anthony Edwards. Final question for you now. I know you're not, I don't think you're a betting man at least. At least you weren't when we were working together when me and our buddy Mike Babchick were firing in the 18 parlays 20 years ago.
Exactly.
So tonight, the Cavs are 8.5-point home favorites against the Raptors. We don't know if Emmanuel Quickley is going to play. The Knicks are 5.5-point home favorites against the Hawks. The Nuggets 6.5-point favorites against the Timberwolves. If JT had to give out a best bet for tonight, even acknowledging that you're probably not going to lay your hard-earned money, but I do respect your basketball acumen, what do you think for tonight and why?
Yeah, I don't bet with money. I don't make enough of it at Sirius XM. I will bet with things I don't care about, like my life. And I would put my life on the Cavaliers tonight, if only because I think the worst team in the entire postseason, probably on both brackets, is Toronto. They were really a 500 team after December, where they went 13-3 in that month. And then on top of that, all right, an already bad offense, might not have their point guard. And then on top of that, maybe there's some internal beefing because Brandon Ingram took just 9 shots, including 1 in the second half, called out Darko Rajakovic for using him as a screener. So, I don't even know if everybody's on the same page there. So I would lean towards, even though they're the biggest favorite and it's the biggest number, I would still go with the Cleveland Cavaliers.
JT is an absolute stud. Maybe not physical appearance-wise, but broadcasting ability, A++. At Termine Radio on social media. Sirius XM NBA Radio's NBA Today, weekdays 4 to 7 p.m. Eastern with our friend Eddie Johnson. And his new YouTube page, everybody check it out, youtube.com/Termine Radio, my friend. Appreciate it. Enjoy Boston. Safe travels back west. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for, having me on and then demeaning my physical appearance when I'm doing this for free. Much appreciated.
Well, to be fair, you demeaned it first. I was probably
trying to be accurate.
I was probably going to. Regardless.
Lift me up. You're supposed to be my buddy. Lift me up.
Yeah, how about this? Justin is one of the biggest stars in sports media, period. So I told you, hey, he might not be the best looking, but I'll tell you what, the guy's an absolute superstar when it comes to our job, and he's not a bad looking guy. All right, we'll take a break. Thanks to JT for joining the show. Connor Orr from Sports Illustrated. Next hour, coming up next. The single most consequential result from the weekend that was in the Stanley Cup playoffs, and more from the ice here on a Monday.
Puck in behind. Wraparound score! Taves, Thompson takes it back. Scores! What time? There's a pass, a shot, score! Martin Samuelsson! And a celebration 15 years in the making is on. A Game 1 comeback win for the Ancients.
Now, back to You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos on Westwood One Sports.
Oh my God, Buffalo Sabres highlight set to patiently waiting. That is pretty hard. That's good stuff. Our show sponsored by BetMGM, and we want you to log into the BetMGM app to receive your Any Sport Parlay Boost token. To use the Parlay Boost token, add a parlay wager made up of any sport wagers to your bet slip and activate the token. If you win your wager that was made with the token, you'll receive extra winnings. Download the BetMGM app today. ESPN courtesy of The Call as the Buffalo Sabres trailed 2-0 to Boston in the third period of the team's first postseason game since 2011. And great job by Kenny Henderson, rolling out the highlights, rolling out the goals from there as the Sabres come all the way back. Tage Thompson, Alex Tuck, and the Sabres end up winning 4-3. By the way, if you had under 6.5 in the game, brutal way to lose. Brutal way to lose with the Bruins scoring one with less than 10 seconds to play. Final score 4-3. That's a tough one. But the Buffalo Sabres win to take game one. And I think the Bruins are done. The book on these two teams coming into the series was the Sabres will skate circles around Boston. They're faster. They're more talented. So the way that Boston can hang in this series is if Jeremy Swayman steals it as the Bruins goalie. And it looked like, more than halfway into the game that the Bruins were going to be able to make that happen and that Swayman was going to be able to hold down the high-flying Buffalo Sabres. And then he wasn't. And I think this series is just over now. Even if I'm not a huge fan of Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, the Sabres goalie, we'll see if, round 2 against the winner of Montreal-Tampa. We'll get to that in a second. I don't know if Buffalo will win that series, but man, what an awesome moment. The crowd's going nuts. I think Buffalo sports fans have a lot to be happy about right now. With Joe Brady as the head coach of the Bills, a new stadium coming for the Bills, and then the Sabres' electric win last night in Buffalo in Game 1 over the Boston Bruins. And that takes us to the Canadiens and the Lightning. And what I believe to be the most consequential result of the weekend that was in the Stanley Cup playoffs. The Canadiens upset Tampa in overtime 4-3. Juraj Slafkovsky with a hat trick in the game, including the game winner in overtime. And he becomes, at 22 years old, the youngest player to ever score a hat trick in his postseason debut. The guy who held that mark previously, someone you might have heard of. His name is Wayne Gretzky. Now, that doesn't mean Slafkovsky is going to be even, an eighth as good as the greatest hockey player of all time, Wayne Gretzky, but pretty lofty stuff for Slafkovsky in his first playoff game. Now, Tampa committed a ton of penalties in the game, and two-time Stanley Cup winning head coach John Cooper slammed his team after the game, basically saying, we ain't winning anything if we're going to be committing penalties like this. And I'm sure Tampa will be more disciplined moving forward. I don't think this is going to be a quick series by any stretch of the imagination. But the reason why I like Montreal to win the series and advance to the second round, where I think they can absolutely beat Buffalo, is the play of young goalie Jakub Dobeš. If you watch this game, Dobeš looked like the more composed of the two goaltenders, which is crazy given that Tampa's goalie has won multiple Stanley Cups and Andrei Vasilevsky. If Dobeš plays like that for the rest of the series, even if Tampa's not committing a bunch of brain-dead penalties, Montreal can absolutely win that series and can absolutely beat Buffalo in round number 2 and go on to the Eastern Conference Final. And maybe then it's Carolina. Freddie Anderson pitches a shutout. Carolina beats Ottawa in game number 1. I liked the Flyers in that series against the Penguins. Philly's been playing playoff hockey for like a month. Philly beats Pittsburgh in Game 1, 3-2. Fascinating Eastern Conference setup here in the National Hockey League. In the West, the reigning two-time Western Conference champion Edmonton Oilers play their first game tonight. That's the only NHL series that has not started yet. Edmonton hosts Anaheim in the nightcap tonight. Edmonton's a big favorite in Game 1, a big favorite in the series. I think the important story coming out of the Western Conference from the weekend was what happened in Game 1 with Minnesota and Dallas, with the Wild scoring 6 goals and shelling Jake Ottinger, and the Wild take a 1-0 series lead as Dallas continues its foibles in Game 1s. Now, remember last year in the Western Conference Final when Edmonton beat Dallas, and Jake Ottinger got pulled, and Peter DeBoer, who got fired after the season by the Stars, largely, I think, due to both the fact that they've lost 3 straight Western Conference Finals and also due to his handling of Jake Ottinger, Peter DeBoer got fired. But the questions lingered. How's this going to go with Jake Ottinger in the postseason? He got shelled in Game 1. Now, Glenn Gulletson, who's the new coach of the Stars, who comes from Edmonton, has said that he's sticking with Ottinger. They're not going to yo-yo Ottinger. He's going to be back in the lineup. I have my questions on how that's going to go. Game 2 tonight in Dallas. I'll take the Minnesota Wild to win that game. Ottinger's confidence feels a little shaken to me. And look, like, is it possible the under's getting bet in the game? Is it possible he comes out and is awesome? Of course it is. Of course it is. But given his history, given what happened in Game 1, I'll take the Minnesota Wild to win Game 2 tonight and take a 2-0 series lead back to Minnesota later this week. On the other side, final hour, power hour. Bunch of stories that we need to hit. Connor Orff, who's going to join us from Sports Illustrated. All our bets for tonight will close the show. But we'll begin the hour with thoughts from the WrestleMania weekend, including why you are a mark if you think Brock Lesnar is actually retiring. The Power Hour is up next on this Monday.
Now, back to You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos and the crew. Presented by BetMGM on Westwood One Sports.
Bring it up, Kenny. Final hour. Power hour. You Better You Bet on Westwood One Sports. Nick Kostos, our amazing crew, and you. The Power Hour and every hour here on You Better You Bet, brought to you by BetMGM. Make it legendary by downloading the BetMGM app and visiting BetMGM.com. Speaking of BetMGM, we'll give you all our bets for tonight at the end of the show. Myself, Tyler, and Kenny. I've got 3 baseball bets. I got some NBA wagers. I got some hockey bets. I just gave you one. I like the Minnesota Wild tonight in Game 2 against the Dallas Stars. All our bets for tonight will close the show. Connor Orr from Sports Illustrated, who covers the NFL. He does a great job for them. Connor's coming up in about 25 minutes from now to talk NFL draft and the Dexter Lawrence trade with the Giants and the Bengals. I open the show with that. This segment on You Better You Bet, sponsored by Progressive Commercial Insurance, protecting your business vehicles 24/7. See if you can save at progressivecommercial.com. Progressivecommercial.com. I'll give you my thoughts on WrestleMania in a moment, but had this piece of news cross #The Wire, a.k.a. social media. So Ty Simpson, the Alabama quarterback who is expected to go maybe in the back part of Thursday night's round 1 of the NFL draft or early on Friday in round 2, Ty Simpson apparently said on David Pollack, the former NFL and Georgia linebacker and ESPN college football personality, Ty Simpson on David Pollack's podcast said that Miami, the Hurricanes, offered Simpson $6.5 million to transfer and be Miami's quarterback this year. He would replace Carson Beck and would be the new quarterback of the Miami Hurricanes. And that he thought about going to play another year in college football at Miami. And look, there's a deeper conversation to be had here about NIL and how it's going to impact, the NFL and the NBA moving forward and like how this is going to go. To me, what's really interesting about this is it concerns Ty Simpson. And I'm not grinding the film, right? That's not like what I do. I'm not poring over, Ty Simpson's performance against Oklahoma or, his bounce back performances against teams in the SEC. And I'm talking Oklahoma early in the season, right? Or Florida State or, the way he played against Indiana. That's not what I do. Maybe he'll be awesome in the NFL. It's possible, right? And I think there's 2 schools of thought, right? Either he hasn't started enough games and you're a little concerned, or you want to say he's the son of a coach and he's been around football his whole life, so that kind of mitigates the lack of college starts. Here's what I keep coming back to with Ty Simpson. And I can't believe more people aren't saying this. So Ty Simpson would have stayed in college football this year and played at Miami. The question that then needs to be asked is, why wouldn't Alabama want him back? The answer to that question is that Alabama has a young 5-star quarterback named Keelan Russell, who was going to start for Alabama this year, whether Ty Simpson came back or not. So one of 2 things are true. One, Keelan Russell is like a lock first-round pick in the NFL, assuming health, whenever he enters the NFL, whenever that is. Or 2, like Ty Simpson knew he couldn't beat out Keelan Russell. And we're going to take a guy in the first round who couldn't beat out like a freshman recruit And I don't mean that as a negative to Keelan Russell, but if like Ty Simpson's this great quarterback prospect, like he couldn't be the starting quarterback at Bama, he would have to go somewhere else to play, and you're going to pick him in like at the end of the first round? That does not sound like a first round quarterback to me, who would have to transfer and play somewhere else. So again, like either Ty Simpson's not as good as we think, or Keelan Russell's this transcendent quarterback prospect. It's one of the two. It doesn't make me feel good about Ty Simpson. The fact that his options were play at a different school this year or go to the NFL. Like, none of the options were be the starting quarterback for Alabama, which is the team he played for last year. I think it tells you something about something. And with that, let's talk a little WrestleMania here on the show. And I'm always honest with, you, the audience, and, I had a conversation with the crew this morning and talked to Bill about it a couple times. And as always, like, the buck will ultimately stop with me. So if you're listening to the show or watching the show right now and you don't care about professional wrestling, I'm sorry. I'm going to talk about it for a couple minutes here, and then we'll get back to sports. It's my opinion, though, that we have crossed the Rubicon, right, is the reference I'm looking for, that we've crossed the Rubicon here with professional wrestling. And specifically, the way that ESPN has featured it, I feel like, and as someone who's watched professional wrestling his whole life, I feel like professional wrestling has never been, and you can argue like the Attitude Era, it was bigger, and the Monday Night Wars. I would argue professional wrestling has never been more culturally relevant than it is today. And that's largely because of the way it's getting pushed by ESPN. And I'm a wrestling fan, so I enjoy it. I understand people that aren't wrestling fans are probably like, what the hell is this? But their goal, obviously, is that you watch it and you start to like it, and then you subscribe to ESPN Plus to watch the baby. Like, obviously, that's what's going on here. So I actually think where last year, I don't know if I could have gotten away with doing 10 minutes on WrestleMania, I feel like you can actually get away with it this year because of the way it's being pushed and how big it is now, culturally. And it's kind of crossed over where it's not just this kind of niche thing. It's kind of like everyone knows what's going on now. Even if you're just a sports fan, you have an idea of what's happening with professional wrestling. So I got 3 takes for everybody coming out of WrestleMania. Take number 1. The Randy Orton-Cody Rhodes main event on Saturday night was a good wrestling match. They're both great professional wrestlers. They are both all-time greats already. Easily, right? The match was good. And I think Cody winning was way different than a lot of us expected. We all thought Randy Orton would win. So the fact that Cody won was a nice swerve, right? We call it in the business, right? And yes, wrestling is scripted. So when you expect something to happen and then it doesn't, it can kind of feel pretty cool, right? I didn't expect that to happen, and it kind of made sense a little bit. Except the match didn't make sense. So I'm sure you know this, even if you're not a wrestling fan, that Pat McAfee, who is the great ESPN personality, was injected into the story. And the story was Pat McAfee is advising Randy Orton, and Randy Orton hears the voices in his head, which is his theme song, right? And Orton kind of plays this character who is off his rocker, right? And McAfee is the voice in his head. And they are going to save professional wrestling, and McAfee's going to help Randy Orton beat Cody Rhodes, who's the corporate stooge, and Orton's going to win the championship, and they are going to save wrestling together. And this started like 2 weeks ago, like this angle. And they hotshot McAfee into the main event. And he's on the poster with Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes. And at the end of the match, Randy Orton turns on Pat McAfee and RKOs him. Okay. So they basically write McAfee out of the story. So like he's done now, most likely. And I want to be clear. This is not a criticism of Pat McAfee, who's a tremendous performer. Whether you like him or not, he's an unbelievable talent. And he draws a tremendous amount of heat, which is like a wrestling term for audience reaction. Like, he's really good. It's not his fault that this is all brain dead and makes no sense. So again, right? The story being told is that McAfee is the voice in Randy Orton's head. This happened 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks later, Randy Orton turns on him. What was the point of this? What was the point of it? Like, this is not, and this is going to sound like I'm criticizing AEW, and I don't mean it. This is not AEW. This is not TNA. This is not old school WCW where, like, you hotshot a celebrity into a feud with 2 weeks to go in the hopes of boosting interest or ticket sales. This is the WWE and it's WrestleMania. It's terrible. And this is the second straight year they've done this. Last year it was with Travis Scott and The Rock and John Cena's heel turn where all of a sudden, inexplicably in the story, Rock disappears and Travis Scott's nowhere to be found. What? So again, if you wanted to tell me last year Rock and Travis Scott stick around, okay, awesome. I love that. I'm into it. If you want to tell me this year Pat McAfee's sticking around and like they're going to see this angle out and McAfee's going to be on SmackDown and he's going to be this heel and he's going to be with Randy Orton, like I can get into that. I can like that. But the fact that he's written into this story where he is basically the guy, the straw that's stirring the drink. He is the puppet master here. And he's written out of the story after 2 weeks. It's horrible. Like, we can tell the truth, right? We can like Randy Orton. We can like Cody Rhodes. We can like Pat McAfee. And we can hate the story that WWE and TKO told on Saturday night. That's take number one. And WrestleMania Saturday night sucked. It was terrible. The good news, though, night 2 was really good. You bet on this Monday. Nick Kostos and you on Westwood One Sports. So the second take for you. Brock Lesnar, Obafemi, the opener, which was free on ESPN. And like, obviously, and I said it to Joe Fortenbaugh when he joined us on the show last week. And shout out to Joe, who did a great job on ESPN covering WrestleMania, interviewing Triple H and others. That it was a brilliant piece of business by ESPN, putting on free ESPN, Brock Lesnar versus Obafemi, and then the 6-man ladder match, because both of those matches were going to be awesome, and they were. So the goal, obviously, is, like, I'm going to use, like, a drug analogy here, just because, like, I love the show The Wire. Like, look, you want people to test the product, and then they buy it. So we're going to give you for free these tremendous 2 matches with great stories, and Brock Lesnar is a crossover star who is UFC champion also, and you're going to want to pay to see it moving forward. So it's a brilliant bit of business by ESPN, WWE, and TKO. It's good stuff, right? So Obafemi wins the match, and if you don't know who Obafemi is, he's like the next big thing, which was Brock Lesnar's old moniker like 20 years ago, who's going to be champion probably sooner rather than later. He's unbelievable. And Obafemi goes over. He no-sells Brock Lesnar's finishing move and then beats Brock in pretty decisive fashion. So Oba gets the rocket ship strapped to his back. He's going to the moon. And I'll credit Brock Lesnar because for whatever Brock's reputation is, and there's a story to be told there, which we're not going to get into here, he's always been willing to, in the business perspective, do the right thing and put somebody over and make a new star. And he did it last night with Obafemi. Now, post-match, they run an angle, a story, where Lesnar takes off his gloves and his boots and puts them in the ring, which is always, in pro wrestling, when a wrestler is retiring, that's what they do. And he hugs Paul Heyman, his longtime manager and advocate, and they're showing genuine emotion, and the crowd is chanting, "Thank you, Brock," as if this is it for Brock Lesnar. Except, I'm pretty convinced he's not retiring. Now, I'll acknowledge I can be wrong about this, but I think I'm right. If you remember a couple weeks ago on Monday Night Raw, Gunther, who retired John Cena and AJ Styles, is going to get a favor from Paul Heyman. I believe, as Gunther's gimmick is the career killer, right? The career ender, who wins career-ending matches and sends legends home. I believe the favor that Gunther will ask is for Brock to face him at SummerSlam in Brock's hometown of Minneapolis with Brock's career in Brock's final match. So I don't think Brock's done. And I think, and I can be wrong, and I'll come on and I'll tell you I'm wrong if I'm wrong. I think Brock is not retired. And I think you're getting worked if you think he's retiring. Too much money to be made. I think at SummerSlam, we'll get Gunther versus Brock in Brock's final match. And the big swerve will be I think Brock Lesnar wins that match against Gunther, and he wins his final match. That is the official Nick Kostos prediction for SummerSlam. And final take. The main events last night between Roman Reigns and CM Punk. If you didn't see it and you're a big wrestling fan, shame on you. You should watch it. And if you're not a wrestling fan, I actually think you should watch it because it's the kind of thing that could change your mind and make you want to keep watching. I've been watching wrestling this is WrestleMania 40, for 35 years. My first WrestleMania that I remember watching from start to finish was 7 in 1991. It's 2026. We just watched WrestleMania 42. I've seen all of them. I'm like, in the way that I can tell you about NFL and NBA and hockey and baseball history, I can tell you about wrestling history. This is my wheelhouse, right? I've seen it all, and I have a great base of knowledge to work off of. You can like stories in other WrestleMania main events more. Hulk Hogan versus The Ultimate Warrior, WrestleMania 6. Rock versus Stone Cold Steve Austin at WrestleMania 17. How about a couple years ago? Cody Rhodes finishes the story against Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 40. As far, though, as a pure wrestling match is concerned, I think last night, Roman Reigns against CM Punk is the best wrestling match to ever main event a WrestleMania. That it's number one on the list. Now, again, if you want to say Rock Austin's better because of and Austin turns heel at the end, you can have that opinion. You like Cody Roman more because of Cody finishes the story. I get it. I'm not arguing it's the one that I liked the most, even though I did love it. What I'm saying is it's the best wrestling match in a WrestleMania main event ever. And there are some good choices, right? People will bring up Michaels versus Bret in the Iron Man match at WrestleMania 12. I hated that match, but I understand a lot of people like it. You can bring up, the triple threat match at WrestleMania 20. That's never happened. That's been, struck from existence because of one of the participants in the match. The triple threat match where Daniel Bryan wins. I was in attendance at WrestleMania 30 in New Orleans. How about Reigns versus Lesnar at WrestleMania 31 with Seth Rollins cashing in? Like, there are some really... Michaels Undertaker, Street versus Career, WrestleMania 26. There are great choices. I think Reigns Punk was better than all of them as a pure wrestling match. The story they told will take your breath away. You got to be a fan, obviously, but man, if you're invested, they had you hook, line, and sinker. It felt like a great Japanese wrestling match with the selling and the story that they told throughout the match. No schmaz finish. Roman wins decisively, 1, 2, 3, after like an uber spear bouncing off multiple ropes. It had everything. It was spectacular. Maybe you're listening or watching right now, and you want to say, well, what about Savage Steamboat? Wasn't the main event. What about Michaels Taker WrestleMania 25? Wasn't the main event. What about Bret Hart, Steve Austin, WrestleMania 13? Wasn't the main event. What about, TLC? Wasn't the main event. There are a lot of great WrestleMania matches that are better than Reigns CM Punk. None of them were the actual main event of WrestleMania. As far as pure wrestling matches go, CM Punk versus Roman Reigns last night, night 2 of WrestleMania 42. The best pure wrestling match that has ever main evented a WrestleMania. A+, 5 stars, job well done. I can't believe I just did like 12 minutes on WrestleMania. What a world we live in. What a time to be alive. On the other side, we'll get back to sports. Connor Orr from Sports Illustrated does a great job covering the National Football League. He will stop by and join us. We'll talk NFL draft rumors and the Dexter Lawrence trade as well. Next on Westwood One Sports.
Now, back to You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos and the crew, presented by BetMGM on Westwood One Sports.
I am fired up to give you all our bets for tonight to close the show about 20 minutes from now, maybe a little more than 20 minutes from now. I got bets in baseball. I have an interesting baseball betting angle for today. Interesting generally translates to losing. We'll see how it goes. Thoughts on the NBA and the hockey playoffs as well from myself, Kenny, and Tyler to close the program, and Bill Zimmerman's trivia question of the day, which, Bill, if it's an NFL draft question, maybe we could ask it with our friend Connor Orr on the line to see if so we can see if Connor can get the question also. Because joining us right now before we wrap up the show with bets is our pal, does an amazing job covering the National Football League for Sports Illustrated, the one, the only, Connor Orr on Twitter at his name. My friend, welcome back to the show. Happy draft week to you and yours.
We're here. Let's go. I'm jacked. Like, it took me a little while this year. This wasn't exactly the depth of the class that we're used to, but I think this is going to be a really fun draft night. So that's what got me there. I'm ready.
Why do you think it's going to be a fun draft night coming up on Thursday in Pittsburgh?
Because you have bad teams at the top who their needs kind of outpace the quality of the class. And then you have good teams in the back who could probably use one of these players that's going to go in the top 10, right? And so we're seeing teams already make some interesting choices where the Bengals are like, listen, even the 10th pick in the draft is not good enough right now. And, Dexter Lawrence is probably better than any other player we could have possibly gotten at that pick. So we're going to go for it. But then you have teams like the Eagles, the Rams, like all these pseudo contenders who are sitting in the back end 20 and beyond who are like, maybe we move up into the top 10. And I think that's a possibility, right? And so I love it. I think this is going to be a really fun night.
If you had to guess, and this can be like pencil, not pen, I'm just curious. If you had to pick a team, because like the team we hear about all the time is Dallas, right? With 12 and 20, right, maybe moving up, like maybe the 6th for 6 and 39 with Cleveland, we'll see. Besides for Dallas, give me a team that you think a little off the beaten path that could make a big trade up into the top 10 that we're not thinking about right now. This is not like your prediction. This is going to happen. But I thought that answer was really interesting. Is it the Eagles or is it another team?
I think it's the Eagles, it's the Chiefs who are in the top 10 now, and the Rams, right, who have 2 first-round draft picks. I think it's teams who view themselves right on the cusp. I don't think 2027 capital matters necessarily in the context, especially the Eagles, if they trade A.J. Brown, are going to have extra 2027 capital already, right? And so I think they've got some room to play with. I think the Chiefs are looking at this situation like we're hopefully never picking this high again under Andy Reid. So do we move up and guarantee us the offensive lineman we want, for example? And the Rams are always worth thinking about, right? Because what are they going to do? Are they going to trade both of them? Are they going to try to get out of the first round? Are they going to try to load up on capital for another year? Or are they going to say, let's take these 2, package them, get up, and get someone that'll totally change the tenor of the draft for us? I don't know. I think it could be really interesting.
What's so fun about, like, I love having, like, you on the show, and candidly, like, people like you on the show. And when I say that, I mean people that just live, sleep, eat, and breathe the National Football League. Like, we love this stuff. We think about it all the time, right? So I'm thinking about the Eagles, right, off the Adam Schefter report this morning. It's not really a report. It's like we all expect, like, A.J. Brown to get traded, right? And probably on or around June 1st to lessen the financial ramifications for the Eagles moving him, right? And kind of like in Schefter's column, it's, well, they're looking for assets in 27 and 28. I look at that and say, maybe Jalen Hurts isn't on the roster past this year. You're saying maybe they could trade up, maybe to select the offensive lineman of their choice. Who the hell knows? What's Connor Orr's read right now on the Philadelphia Eagles heading into the draft?
I think that they're in a do or die spot with Hurts. And I think that the offensive coordinator search probably underlined that, where we can say as much as we want to about Jalen Hurts having a different offensive coordinator every year. I'm of the mind that this was not a Patullo exclusive issue. And I've been of that mind for quite some time. And so if you're Nick Sirianni, if you're Howie Roseman, it's like, is it going to be hard to find someone who wants to work with this guy every single year? And is he going to want to play this preferential style of quarterback that maybe just doesn't bring us to where we need to go? They've been great at getting rid of people early instead of hanging on to people for too long. And so I think this is one of those situations where, I think this is a thing where let's build this thing up. Let's give Hurts one more chance with the new offensive coordinator. And if it doesn't work, now we're positioned to totally reboot and to reboot quickly, right? Because the 2027 draft class, and again, this is probably its own kind of fallacy, but could be richer with quarterback talent. And the last thing I'll say on that is I think that if you look at Hurts's contract compared to others who were signed around that same time, like Lamar Jackson. It's just set up differently. I think it's set up like, let's wait and see on this guy a little bit, right? It's not one of those, we are 100% positive in this guy contracts.
And he's one of the most fascinating players in all of sports, right? I'm a Hurts guy. He's played his best and outdueled Mahomes, I would argue, in 2 Super Bowls. Lost the first one, but I thought he was just as good in that first one. But obviously has, not been up to par in a lot of regular season games, certainly in the wild card loss in January to the San Francisco 49ers. So I think you and I are on the same wavelength. Maybe Jalen Hurts next offseason, moving on to a different team. What about Joe Burrow? And what did, Connor, if anything, the Bengals trade for Dexter Lawrence tell you about Joe Burrow's future in Cincinnati, if anything?
I think it's just a continuation of what it's always been, which is like, please, God, don't leave us. Like, we love you and please never go away. And everyone always says like, oh, the Bengals are so cheap. The Bengals are so cheap. Look at what they've done since Joe Burrow has been there. I think twice in Zach Taylor's first 3 years, they were top 5 in free agency spend. They've redone the offensive line twice already via free agency. They just haven't done a very good job of it, and I think that the quality of the player just wasn't necessarily there. They signed T. Higgins and Jamar Chase to the highest wide receiver and wide receiver 2 contracts in NFL history in back-to-back years. They added to their scouting staff. They built an indoor practice facility. They're like, please, Burrow, like anything that we can do to keep you here and to keep you happy, we're going to do. And I think Dexter Lawrence was just another step in that direction. The defense was abysmal a year ago. They were really bad the year before that. And I think a good interior player unlocks a lot of the ancillary pieces they have there. So I think this is just another piece to pacify Burrow and to mitigate the possibility of like another one of those Carson Palmer mistakes.
Do you see the Bengals? And it's obviously we still have the draft. We still have a lot of time to go before the regular season. Do you see the Bengals as a playoff team this year at this point in time right now, Connor, in the AFC with the addition of Dexter Lawrence?
I do, but this is the caveat now of the guy who picked Joe Burrow to win MVP 3 straight years in Sports Illustrated's football preview issue, and I've been told I'm not allowed to have that privilege this year, so because of that. So I'm always a little bit higher on the Bengals. I think that they've just had some awful injury luck, and maybe this year this is the season that crystallizes like, is this bad injury luck with Joe Burrow, or is there something that's contributing to the fact that he's been missing a lot of games? I don't know, but I do see them as a playoff team. The AFC North is not very good.
We'll do it now, actually. I can't believe that it's 2026 and that we are 4 days out from the draft and that the draft is in Pittsburgh. And Aaron Rodgers, has not yet, quote unquote, made his decision, and apparently is not making his decision before the NFL draft. Like, this isn't the Jets, and it sounds disrespectful. I guess I do mean it disrespectfully to the Jets. This is the Steelers, and it's like 2018 in Green Bay with McCarthy. What the hell's happening here? You're really plugged in? Do you feel the same way I do? Do people in the league feel this way? Like, what the hell are the Pittsburgh Steelers doing?
Last year, there was an idea that Aaron was waiting because of his experience with the Jets. Aaron Rodgers went to the Jets, and then the NFL absolutely pummeled them with like an unforgiving primetime slate where like literally every week they're playing in primetime. So the idea was that Aaron waited maybe last year in order to, after the schedule release, in order to prevent that from happening. They still kind of got pummeled in primetime. But we now know that like this team is kind of unwatchable with him at quarterback. Like they'll win, but it's not like a team that in primetime it's like, oh, I got to watch Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers this year. There's no 3D chess reason for him to be waiting this long unless he's hoping like another option materializes, if he's really still trying to decide if he's going to retire, if you want to drive Mike McCarthy nuts. I mean, I said from day one they should have been in on Kirk Cousins and then said, hey, Aaron, if you want to come, we'd love to have both of you here, but we can't wait. And now they're at the point where, Jimmy Garoppolo is probably your best veteran option. Maybe you'd swing a trade if Jacoby Brissett doesn't get the contract he wants with Arizona.
I mean, think about what we're saying here. I mean, this is crazy.
It's bleak. Yeah.
I just like, should they draft Ty Simpson and just say screw you?
No, because I don't think that helps either. Like I just don't think Ty Simpson is making the Kenny Pickett mistake again. If you're Pittsburgh, I really think that, as much as we wanted to talk about entertaining the idea that he was like a 1A to Fernando Mendoza. This is just not that kind of draft. And the quarterback depth in this draft is not good. Like, I don't think Ty Simpson is necessarily in that conversation. Maybe if Arizona wants to trade back into the late first and get the 5th-year option on him and just try him out, I think it's like a Josh Rosen situation where, okay, if he doesn't work in a year, we can just move on. It's not that bad. But yeah, I mean, I don't think he's necessarily the foil for Aaron Rodgers. And what's tough is like maybe Mike McCarthy thought he had this thing locked up already, and now you're at this position where Will Howard, Mason Rudolph. I mean, this is getting kind of scary.
I love that, by the way. If it doesn't work out for Arizona, they could just move. You know what they'll do? They'll fire the coach, hire Cliff Kingsbury, and draft Kyler Murray a year later, which is what they did here, dude. It's crazy that actually happened. You bet on this Monday. Connor Orr is our guest, does a great job covering the NFL for Sports Illustrated. Okay. I'm guessing you like the Giants end of the trade. Just like yes or no answer. Do you like what the Giants getting the 10th pick for Dexter Lawrence? That will lead to another question.
I do, and I'll just say the caveat was I hate being this guy, but I liked it for literally everyone. It's one of the very rare,
me too,
very rare occurrences that I come down on that side.
Since he had to do it, had to get a guy that can impact them immediately and help them win. They did that. Even if as a Giants fan, I'm happy that Dexter got traded. And the fact that the Giants got the 10th overall pick, I said earlier in the show, it's like buying a car for $50,000 and then selling it 6 years later for $70,000. Like they got more than sticker price. It's a good piece of business by the Giants. So this is not like, do you like the trade? Now let's talk about what you think they might do. So they'll be on the clock at 5, at 10, and at 37, provided there aren't any more trades or machinations. What's your best guess? And we can keep this to 5 and 10 if you want, as to what John Harbaugh and Joe Schoen will do in the NFL draft for Big Blue.
So I just filed my mock a couple minutes ago, and I have them at Sonny Styles at 5, and I have Vega from Penn State, the guard, at 10. And the reason why, and I think we can read between the lines on a lot of different stuff, but the one through line of all of John Harbaugh's new press conferences, everything he said as head coach of the Giants, we need to be able to run the ball and we need to be able to stop the run. And what are the two things that I think the Giants have been historically bad at is running the ball and stopping the run over the last couple of years. Vega is like one of your cleanest interior prospects. You pair him with Falele and all of a sudden you kind of got a bruising offensive line there. And then I think Sonny Styles, I don't care that you have Tremaine Edmonds. He does a lot of stuff in coverage. I mean, he's going to shut down routes on the back end of the field. He's great. I mean, he's almost like a hybrid safety in the box, and he's going to grow with that team. Harbaugh's always had an elite middle linebacker, and so I like that. I think you service both sides of the ball, and you're trying to do what Harbaugh did in Baltimore, right? It's not necessarily positional value. It is down the fairway picks. It's Tyler Linderbaum and Kyle Hamilton at 14 and 25, and I think this could be a similar show.
I'm very excited as a Giants fan. That just got me really fired up. All right, so you just said, and we breaking news here, right? Because your mock is going to be posting for Sports Illustrated in a little bit here. So we all know Fernando Mendoza is going first. What a curveball that would be if it didn't happen. Mendoza is going to go first overall to the Raiders. What is the thing that Connor Orr feels most confident in the top 10? And you could take this, what's funny, right? I see your face. You could take this in a number of different directions because it all feels so up in the air. What is the thing that you feel most comfortable and confident in the top 10 outside of Mendoza being the first pick?
That's a great question. I think the only other thing, because again, I think number 2 is a little bit of a mystery, or it's at least worth having that conversation. I think the things that I'm most certain about is that Arizona doesn't want to make that pick at 3, which is why I think we're hearing all the love overtures where it's like, no, please, guys, come trade up with us. Like, come get him. You can have him if you want him. And so I think that I think Arizona absolutely doesn't want to make that pick. And I think that the Kansas City Chiefs are going to address offensive line. That's sort of my 2 main takeaways there. I think Andy Reid's done dealing with uncertainty, and this is going to be the highest they're going to pick in a long time. And I think they're going to try to come away with a true kind of anchor at right tackle.
Do you have a guess as to who that right tackle is? Like Spencer Fano would be my guess if Maui is off the board for Miami.
Exactly. So I think if they don't move up with, let's say, like in my mock, I have them moving up with the Browns from 9 to 6 just to make sure that they get Maui Noah. But if not, I think Fano is your guy from Utah for sure.
I love it. I've heard from people that Maui Noah kind of projects more as a guard. It's fat, man. It's going to be awesome. I like how we've also just given up on Vega's last name pronunciation. We're just going with Vega, like the Street Fighter character. I co-sign that as a big Street Fighter fan. Connor, do you want to try and attempt to answer Bill Zimmerman's trivia question on the NFL draft?
Bring it on. There's a 0% chance I'm going to get it, but I always like to try.
All right, so Bill, give the trivia question. If Connor can't answer it in this moment, we will take it through the break and attempt to answer it on the other side.
All right, it takes a little thinking here, but it's definitely very gettable because we've been talking obviously a lot about Jeremiah Love going in the top 5 of the draft as a running back, something that doesn't happen very often. So Nick and Connor, I ask you, can you tell me the last year specifically, a running back went first, second, and third? What are the 3 years? I'll give you a bonus if you get 4th and 5th as well.
All right, so first overall is Kajana Carter, right, in 1994 to Cincinnati?
Correct, 95, but yes, correct.
Okay, third overall is Lawrence Phillips to the St. Louis Rams in 1997.
That has happened more recently than that.
Oh, okay, so Ronnie Brown went second, and who went third? Carnell Williams, right, to Tampa Bay, went third? Is that right?
I think Carnell Williams is like 5th, wasn't he?
Who did a running back go right after Ronnie Brown? Because Ronnie Brown went second to the Dolphins.
There was a running back that went 4th that year.
Cedric Benson to your Bears.
Correct.
Okay, so now we have to get third. So third's happened sooner than that. Second to Saquon.
Right.
Okay.
Are we
Connor, do you want to try and get this third? It's not Lawrence Phillips. I thought I had that right for sure. Oh, I got it. Trent Richardson.
What is it? Oh, nice.
Yes. Trent Richardson.
Wow.
So now we have to try and get 5. 5 is the last one? Oh, it's Genty. Last year. Oh, Genty didn't go 5th.
Genty
was
was
6th, right, to the Raiders? 6th. All right. You want to hazard a guess here for 5, or we're going to take this to the break?
Actually, I'll just jump in. Connor said it. Cadillac Williams was the last guy that went 5th.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. That was we nailed that, right?
You nailed it. I kind of just worked on the peripheral.
You got Cadillac Williams right. That was good. Good job, buddy. Connor Rohr on Twitter. The mock draft is dropping on SportsIllustratedSI.com. Appreciate you, my man.
All right, thanks, Nick. Thanks, guys.
Connor Rohr. Is Leonard Fournette the right answer, Bill, to 4th overall, or no?
Didn't you say Fournette?
I said Cedric Benson.
4th? Oh, yeah, no, there's been a couple guys more recently than Cedric Benson. So, yes, Leonard Fournette, 4th in 2017, and Darren McFadden went 4th in 2008.
Darren McFadden. So it's a classic Oakland Raider.
There's a lot of running backs on that list that you sit there and go, that's why you don't take running backs.
That's why you don't take a running back. Or Ronnie Brown seconds. Like, what are we talking about here? Cedric Benson, rest in peace. But I mean, come on here. All right. We'll take a break, and on the other side, all our bets for tonight, and there are a lot of them here on this Monday on Westwood One Sports.
Back to You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos on Westwood One Sports.
All right, some thank yous to Dole Lab before we wrap up the show with all our bets for tonight in the world of sports. Two tremendous guests joined us. Our friend Justin Termine from SiriusXM NBA Radio, love JT, and Connor Rohr, who does a great job covering the NFL for Sports Illustrated. Our executive producer, Billy Z, technical director, Tyler Morales, our engineer, Kenderson, our video producer, downtown, Mike Brown. I think Dan Turner was still in Las Vegas. He was at WrestleMania yesterday. Good for him. Mike, did he go to, I know he was in Vegas. Did he go to WrestleMania on Saturday or did he just go on Sunday?
I believe that they were there for both days. So, yeah,
okay.
They had good seats, too. So,
well, Saturday he saw a clunker, and Sunday he got an absolute show. WrestleMania was great yesterday. So thanks to our guests, and thanks to our crew. Our show sponsor is BetMGM. Log into the BetMGM app to receive your Any Sport Parlay Boost token. To use the Parlay Boost token, add a parlay wager made up of any sport wagers to your bet slip and activate the token. If you win your wager that was made with the token, you'll receive extra winnings. Download the BetMGM app today. Kenny, please drop the dope-ass beat. Bets from yours truly for tonight in the wonderful world of sports. Let's start in the NBA, where I'm just bringing up the point spreads here to make sure I have everything right. Okay, so the Cavs have been bet out to a 9.5-point favorite against the Raptors. Duh. The Knicks have been bet out to a 6.5-point favorite against the Hawks. Also, duh. I don't want to overthink this. I'm not interested in the spreads. I'm moneyline parlaying the Knicks and the Cavs tonight to both take 2-0 leads in their series. That's minus 130 at BetMGM. Knicks moneyline, Cavs moneyline, parlayed together, minus 130 at BetMGM. Like, not knowing what Anthony Edwards is going to look like tonight for the Wolves has me off of the Nuggets-Wolves game. For what it's worth, Denver's getting bet. They're out to 7.5. If Anthony Edwards isn't fully healthy, like, Denver's going to win by double digits, but I have no idea how that's going to go. I am staying off that game. I will say, if Edwards looks healthy early, I may bet Minnesota to win the game live. Just to win the game, forget about the point spread. But Knicks and Cavs, moneyline parlay, minus 130 at BetMGM. Couple hockey bets from yours truly tonight. I'm going to keep riding the Flyers. I took them in Game 1 against Pittsburgh. I'll take them again tonight. I don't trust Stuart Skinner in net. I know he's been to a couple Stanley Cup finals in a row. That's with Edmonton. I'll take the Flyers tonight to take a 2-0 series lead back to Philadelphia. Small bet there for me on the Flyers. And I will bet under 6 with the Hurricanes and the Senators tonight. These two teams play pretty much the same brand of hockey. They don't make a ton of mistakes, both very physical. Freddie Anderson was great in Game 1. Under 6 for me tonight with the Hurricanes and the Sens. I'm betting Minnesota money line in Dallas, plus 115. I don't trust Jake Ottinger. Small bets for me on the hockey. Give me the Wild to win. I don't trust Ottinger. Minnesota plus 115. No bet for me in Oilers Ducks. If I had to bet the game, I would bet Edmonton on the puck line, minus a goal and a half. And then in baseball, my interesting betting angle for today is to fade the National League Central. Every team in the NL Central is above 500. So I'm going to bet against all three of those teams today. Let's bet the Marlins minus 135 against Governor McGreevy and the Cardinals. So Marlins minus 135. The Rays minus 120 against the Cincinnati Reds, who are in first right now in the NL Central. Rays minus 120. And the Phillies, who are terrible, minus 110 on the road at the Cubs. So again, give me the Phillies, give me the Rays, and give me the Marlins today in Major League Baseball. Tyler Morales, what do you have for us quickly?
I like the Royals against the Orioles. Royals have lost 7 in a row, and they come back home after a long road trip. The Yankees absolutely pummeled them, so I'll take the Royals in the money line. And I got a parlay. Eugenio Suarez, they hit a home run. Matthew Fitzpatrick to win the PGA Championship next month, 130-1. So there you go. Love Suarez. They go yard in one of these next two games.
How about Fitzpatrick winning the RBC in a playoff against Scotty Scheffler yesterday? Maybe we'll do a little bit on that. Scheffler, another second-place finish, and it feels like he's a loser for that, which is crazy. So Eugenio Suarez with Matt Fitzpatrick to win the PGA Championship. Kenny, 30 seconds. What do you got for us?
I'm taking the Hawks tonight, plus 5.5. They kept it close for the majority of Game 1. I think they keep it close here and maybe even steal Game 2 at the Garden. And then I have an NFL draft bet with smoke that Love could go 3 to Arizona. I took David Bailey to be the 4th pick at plus 450. I think the Titans should do this anyway, even if Love is still on the board. I think they should go edge, and I think if David Bailey's there, he's got to be the guy. So plus 450, good value.
We will have at least one NFL draft betting spot later this week. And our friend Pro Sports bettor Rob Pizzola, I feel like we'll join, I think, Bill, right, tomorrow on the show, right, to do NHL and a little NFL draft betting as well. Yeah, so Pizzola coming on tomorrow for the NFL Draft and National Hockey League playoff betting. That does it for the Monday edition of the show. This was an absolute blast. I'm with you all week this week, Monday through Friday here on You Better You Bet, so I will catch you tomorrow on a Tuesday. Until then, I am Nick Kostos wishing you minimal sweats, winning bets, and the absolute very best of luck. Our good friends Bleck and Abdallah coming up next on Westwood One Sports.